what I learned over time is just stop with the noise and the head trash and the fear. And I don't care what anyone has to say, whether it's a hater, I don't care. Right now, I'm just doing my thing and I want to constantly be executing and moving forward, constant upward improvement.
Entrepreneurs, I'm excited for today because we're going to learn not just a new podcast, but he's got a book that's ranked in the top of Amazon and a whole lot of else. So, a lot of value coming your way. Cliff, thank you for making time here on a Monday as we're recording for that Entrepreneur Show.
Thanks for having me. I appreciate it. I'm happy to be here.
I'm excited, and everyone, not just a new podcast. That's not all we're going to learn today. His entrepreneurial roots run deep. We're going to learn about that 8-year-old side hustle. Everyone knows I did the snow shoveling as much as I can before I traded my snowflakes for palm trees. But by 19, he had launched one of the first delivery food services in the US, delivering over 100 McDonald's orders a day, which making him very likely the first food delivery subcontractor for McDonald's in America. And that was back in 1991 before Uber Eats. He eventually pivoted. We had finance to franchising, where now his podcast is built around that. So everyone, I want to thank you so much for joining us. Please remember to subscribe to stay current. And with that, we're bringing Cliff here. Where are you streaming in from, Cliff?
South Florida, Delray Beach.
All right. I'm based in Tampa. I'm actually recording, though, in Coral Springs area. So
Really?
your neck of the woods.
Very
Yes.
cool.
In a different office on the road. But everyone, we're brought to you today by ComingAlivePodcastProduction.com. And you may have been able to guess, we're starting with those early roots here. Walk us through that early side hustle that I guess paved the way for entrepreneurship.
Yeah, I was always interested. I don't know why, but I was always interested in making money. I was always interested in business. I was always interested in doing something. Did I like toys? I like toys, but I actually enjoyed work. I liked being put to work. I liked painting. I liked shoveling snow. I liked raking leaves. I especially liked things if I was being compensated for it. So I had some really smart next door neighbors. I've honored them in my book because they were very instrumental in the early days, and they were clammers, and they actually built their own clam boat. Now, these guys were next level neighbors, honestly. That's a separate show. But at any event, I lived across the street. I grew up in Long Island. I lived across the street from a country club. So I would go out there after hours and I would rake with clam rakes. I'd rake golf balls out of ponds. I would obviously walk through the woods, pick up balls, but I could get way more balls on a telescopic pole with a nice clam rake, 4-inch teeth, and just start raking out. Yeah, balls that have been there a while are waterlogged. They're not worth anything. They don't bounce well. Golfers knew. So my mom would keep all the egg cartons and I'd clean them up and display them in the egg cartons with prices written on there. And this was not a joke to me. This was not a little side gig. I would do $100 in a weekend, and $100 in 1980 is like $300 today. And I was 8. So I would do this constantly. And of course, I did every other random job that you could do, whether it was babysitting or raking leaves and shoveling snow. I did everything you could possibly do for money.
I can certainly
As a
relate
kid.
to those early jobs and more overlap. I graduated Northport High School in a while ago now, but from Long
Really?
Island as well. Yeah.
I grew up in Great River and I went to East Islip High School.
Small world. If anyone's tuning in from that area, be sure to let us know. We'll feature you on the next episode. But while we're talking about episodes soon, we're going to dive into the book because it is what he's focusing on now, niching down very nicely. As an author, do you think as a kid, the young Cliff would have expected this to happen? You holding that book in your hand?
No, not at all. No. I wrote the book with my business partner, Justin, who's from East Meadow, who grew up in Long Island. And he and I met 17 years ago and started buying failing gyms, turning them around and selling them. We've done quite a few deals together over our career. We're still together now. We own a franchise consulting company together, but we also co-wrote the book. The book was really written for the aspiring entrepreneur, how to overcome fear, right? How to acquire a manager, how to retain your talent, how to create employment agreements, clawback provisions. It really gets granular. People have actually said you wrote the book it's so detailed. In some respects, we don't need to call you. And that's okay. If you got what you need out of the book, that's fine. But if someone is still on the fence with what should I buy, that's where we come in and help them identify what franchise opportunities they should be looking at, what business opportunities align with their income needs, their investment level, their risk tolerance, and geography. Right? You're in Tampa. I'm over here. Someone's up in Long Island. Someone's calling from Connecticut or California. But we want to understand the demographics and the psychographics of that community, make sure that the brand aligns well with what they're trying to do. So that's our core competency. The book, again, was written for people who I'm in corporate America. I'm at a fork in the road. I got to do something. What's out there? What's right for me? And that's where we assist them. And we do it for free. We're paid by the seller. So we operate like a headhunter or a realtor in terms of compensation. We're paid by the opposing party. We represent your listener. We represent the investor for free.
I love how you said everything there, but you having that book is the entry point, right? You said, hey, if they need something else, now they know how to get in touch with us. We did something similar, right? I have the I Want to Start a Podcast book where people want to work through the course book on their own, or if they need help, we're here. You've had your hands in a lot, and we've only just scratched the surface. Which is your favorite field to have worked in out of all of the things you've done?
Wow, that's it. I think it would be what I'm doing now because it's the volume of people that we're helping. I used to own parasail boats in Marco Island, the Jersey Shore. Was that fun? Yes. I had contracts with the Hilton Grand Vacation on the timeshare side. So I would have all their water sport concessions. So if you said, what's the most fun? The most fun would be operating jet skis, right? Excursions, parasail boats, living out on the water. I'm a big boater. So that was a lot of fun. But I think the most meaningful, if I would argue a legacy, my give back, it's going to be what we do today. We're keeping people out of trouble. We're changing people's lives. They're getting out of corporate America. They're more in control of their time and their money. They're probably going to retire uncompromised because instead of putting 30, 40 years into corporate America, today you don't even get a gold watch, no pension. You're on your own. At least these people have something to sell in the end and say, hey, I bought this franchise for 300 grand. Maybe they'll sell it for a million. Maybe they'll sell it for whatever they sell it for. But at least there's an exit strategy and you're building equity. Or this is actually becoming very important for people. They want a legacy for their children and grandchildren. I'm hearing way more of that as we age, right? Think about it. Your boomers now are 60, 70, 80 and up, right?
Yeah.
Your Gen Xers are now 50 and 60. Right. So you look at that, you're hearing more and more people talk about legacy. What will I be known for? What did I do? How did I give back? Whose life did I change? So the most meaningful to answer your question would be franchise consulting, changing people's lives through self-employment.
I love how you shared that because at the end of the day, money may be everything to some, but if we're talking about leaving that legacy, money is a byproduct of doing the great work we do. I finance grad, Merrill Lynch, PricewaterhouseCoopers, and eventually that road changed with life situations, right? You have to find something you're passionate about. And he's great proof of that. If you work hard enough and you stay dedicated, it doesn't matter where you start, right? Filling the egg cartons or on Marco Island, then
So
Morgan
true.
Stanley, right? Now you're here, you're making impactful work, which I think is a great segue into your podcast, right? You started the podcast, you got the book. Before we dive into the nitty gritty on the show, what advice can you give to someone who's been on the fence and the itty bitty committee in their head, right? I'm not going to write the book. I'm not going to start the podcast. You found some benefits if you wouldn't mind sharing.
I like that. It's interesting because it would be unnatural for me to be on a show, right? It is. And it would be unnatural for me to even want to be a host of a show. And it's not natural for me to want to be an author.
Yeah.
Right. But what I learned over time is just stop with the noise and the head trash and the fear. And I don't care what anyone has to say, whether it's a hater. I don't care. Right now, I'm just doing my thing. And I want to constantly be executing and moving forward, constant upward improvement. A book I read a long time ago, teenage, would be Kaizen, which is a Japanese word for constant upward improvement. I don't know why the book resonated with me. I don't know why the concept resonated with me, right? I have nothing to do with Japan. Well, I do love their culture, but there's something about the book that just made me say to myself, what are you doing to seek constant upward improvement, not just in my business life, in your personal life. Are you self educating? I skipped college. I went straight from high school to self employment. I knew what I wanted and I knew it wasn't college. No disrespect, but it just wasn't for me. And I just skipped it and went straight into it. So I felt like I have to constantly be reading, constantly be learning, constantly be growing, surround myself with people that are way above me. Right. And so I think that my advice for everyone on here, what I have learned, I'm 54 now. What I have learned is that for most people listening that are on the fence, as you call it, it's fear. And you know what's interesting about fear? No one talks about it. It is the most influential force in all of our lives. Nobody talks about it. No one. They talk about crushing it and killing it, and they talk about get after it and just do it, right? They say all these lines, and then there's acronyms like fear, it's face everything and rise. None of that is helpful, honestly. None of that has really helped anyone. To really understand fear and what's holding you back has a lot to do with our brain being wired for survival, not success. When you see insanely successful people and people doing things, they're really going against the entire biology of their brain. Again, the brain was not created when you go all the way back to you need to be a CEO. The brain was really designed to survive. It's self-preservation. We rewired, right? We learned about our amygdala. We learned about the brain. And we're now wiring ourselves for success, to retire, to have abundance, to do the things that we want to do and live the life that we want to live. So it's not easy overcoming biology. But for anyone listening, man, you need to fight like hell. And I would suggest that everyone learn. I think his name is Eckhart Tolle, or said as Eckhart Tolle, Tolle. This guy wrote the book on fear and how to overcome fear and live the best life you have ever lived. And I took excerpts and I put it in my own book because the advice he gives is game changing. It's life changing.
Well, thank you for sharing all that. I love how you're highlighting self-development and learning never ends unless you're ready to give up. Here he is, successful in multiple businesses. He's still learning. Oh, man. Everyone, be sure to subscribe to stay current and make sure to share this episode with someone who would find value in it, especially in the franchising world, because now we talked about the book. We talked about the benefits of, right, just putting it out there. I let it go in 2019 and I never knew it would launch a career. And now he's got a great podcast, so make sure you write it down so you subscribe to it right when you finish here. Name of the podcast, and again, a little more about it.
Pursuit of profit. So every streaming service like yourself, so all streaming services, Pursuit of Profit. We only interview founders of franchise concepts or C-suite. So you either founded it or you're managing it, but you have to be either C-suite or a founder. I do bring on franchisees. They have to be 5 to 10xing the average. Some of the franchisees we've had on the show are doing 15 million, 70 million. They're really big franchisees. And they become more relatable to the audience because the audience is like, I don't want to be a founder of something. I want to own something and scale something and create wealth. So sometimes it's better to listen to a franchisee and their success. But our clients and our prospective future clients get a lot out of the show because they're just listening to me and a founder discuss the unit economics. How do you acquire customers? What problem do you solve? How does it scale? How did you do through the housing crisis and COVID? Where are you getting the labor? How do you see AI affecting you? What AI have you implemented to make the business more efficient? There's so much that we unpack in the show. People see great value in learning about some of these brands. And what's mind blowing is if I said to you, do you have an interest in this brand? You would say something like, that doesn't interest me. Listen to the episode and then you're ready to buy it. It's really weird how that happens where we look at something, a name of something or a concept, and we have no interest in it until we listen to that conversation. I had a guy in there doing window boxes. No one listening probably wants to do window boxes. The guy's doing over 5 million a year making rot resistant, self-watering window boxes. Yes. It's
I
stuff
think,
like that.
and it's a great example there where people buy from people, right? They want to hear you, they want to learn about you, and putting yourself on a podcast anywhere is a great way to do that because you're breaking down that fear of who is this person, right? You're building trust. Even me, I still do door knocking, I do cold calls, but someone who's been in my network for a year many times now has come back and become a client, right? We just had this relationship, we kept in touch. They were a guest on my show a few times, and it's led to revenue. So everyone, go out there and share your story. I hope that we're inspiring you. And of course, if you know anyone in your network who may be a good fit to talk to our guest today, maybe be a good guest, excuse me, stick around for just a few more minutes. We're going to get his contact info, link them up together because that's the beautiful thing of entrepreneurship. Everyone wants to help everyone. Where I was
Yeah.
the finance guy and you want to be better than the person next to you in the next cubicle, right? You don't want to look worse. And here it's all about helping. So stick around there. But now, my favorite question here: which entrepreneur throughout history, dead or alive, would you choose to sit down with? And it could be at any point of your journey, just someone you haven't met yet.
Elon and Thomas Edison, these are the 2.
All right, let's talk
Elon
about
and
it.
Thomas Edison. I lived in Marco Island, so Thomas Edison's summer home was actually in Fort Myers, so I visited it. I was just blown away by the inventions. He's probably the most prolific inventor and still to this day in the
This
history
day.
of the world. The guy has more patents than anyone. He has had such a meaningful impact on everyone's lives, whether it's concrete. A lot of people don't even realize what he's known for. Light bulbs and the phonograph and the concrete. It's really unbelievable. A lot of people don't realize that his inventions today would be GE because he took general household products and electrified them, a toaster or an iron, and that's GE today. So you look at that. So yeah, and then Elon, forget about it. I actually, thankfully, am fortunate enough to make a significant investment in his company, Starlink and SpaceX. I'm waiting for that to go public, but I'm putting my money where my mouth is. I not only love him, I'm invested in him. And yeah, these are people I'd love to sit down with that just absorb that knowledge and maybe get some answers to the test.
Well, you can't argue either of those from an entrepreneurial standpoint. Both had their own brands and built it. And Thomas Edison, I think the quote is, "There's a better way to do it. Find it." It was my closing quote in my MBA commencement speech. So I absolutely
Really.
love that choice. And with that, we got to thank you so much for joining us here on That Entrepreneur Show. Everyone, thank you for tuning in to keep the show a top 2.5% global show through Listen Notes. And again, remember to subscribe so you don't miss great guests like today. But now the floor is yours. Where can we find you online? Where's the best place to find more about everything you're doing?
Yeah, podcast, Pursuit of Profit, the book, Beyond the Brand. You can reach me at my website, franocity.com, FRANOCITY.com. And you can schedule an appointment to get access to me through there in my calendar.
All right. Well, thank you for sharing that. Everyone, be sure to connect with today's guest. He only just scratched the surface with all the value he can bring. Remember, his book, his podcast, that's years and years of expertise into a resource for you. And to be able to connect with him on a call is even better. He is a major player in the franchising space. So be sure to connect. My name is Vincent A. Lancy, and the show is brought to you today by Coming Alive podcastproduction.com. Head there today to get your journey started. But for now, we're signing off today with an incredible show from an incredible entrepreneur. Congratulations again on all your success, and I look forward to seeing it all unravel.
Thank you, Vincent.
Thank you for tuning in to another episode. I would love to hear your feedback. What did you love? What do you want to see more of? Are there any questions you would like me to ask the guests who come on the show? This show is not possible without you, the amazing listeners, so please email us at podcastsbylancy@gmail.com and let us know what you think. We'll also feature you on a later show. Please remember to subscribe to stay current with our amazing community of guests who will continue to come on the show, sprinkled in with solo episodes from me, Vincent A. Lancy. With that, I look forward to introducing more shows to you each and every week. And with that, we're signing off today. Enjoy the episodes and make it a great day ahead.